Welcome to the Spirited Network podcast, produced by Big Cash, your favorite podcast. Special guest host, Paul Young.
Remember when you said we was done? Now you caught up, you can't even run. Said that I'd be no one. Now that the time has come, you said that you want me out of your life. Saying I have too much fun. But look how far I've come, just look how far
Hey, look, we are back. Spirit Network Podcast, episode whatever. I think it's 6 now. Look, I am incredibly excited, incredibly humbled to be joined by a special guest. And all of my guests are special. Let me just make sure I get that out the way. But this is a special guest in the fact that he's new to the show. And also he's trying to do something very big for the city that I always profess to love almost every other show. So I want to welcome in Paul Young, just like D-Voice Guy did. What's up, Paul?
What up?
Man, so glad you
My
came,
guy.
dude.
Yeah,
So,
glad to be here, man. I told you I was coming.
Yeah, look, but people say that stuff.
Yeah,
hey, look,
man.
I text somebody, yesterday, and I was like, hey, we had talked about him coming on the show like 3 or 4 times, and like I texted him, he's ghost.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I asked you.
Nah, if I say I'm coming, bro, I'm coming. I'm coming.
Hey, look,
It may take a minute. It did take a minute, but hey, we here.
Already starting out good, a man of your word. And that's going to be important for
Hey,
what we're going
man.
to talk about and what
That's
you
all
got
a
on the
man has.
horizon. Man, all right, so listen. We know that you got some aspirations coming up, but we're going to get into that, okay?
Right.
This is the Spirit Network podcast. It's a special show. You're going to have a lot of fun. We loosen up first, okay, before we get into all the nitty gritty that we need to talk about.
All right,
okay?
cool.
All right. So first, man, let's talk about you just a little bit because our audience doesn't really know you like that. So we went to Tennessee together, full disclosure, and we are both noobs, and that's how I met you.
Yes, sir.
So look, if you could, man, before that, that. What were you like in middle school? I don't know who you are.
Man, I've always been just a cool, laid-back dude, man. I went to Oak Haven, grew up in Oak Haven area, kindergarten through 7th grade, then went to Snowden, and then I left and went to East High. And, through all of my schools, I was always known as, the nice, cool, laid-back guy, smart, and got along with everybody. That was always my reputation.
So what was the knock? I mean, what did people?
No knock. What you mean?
Let me tell you something. When the guy said, "Look, you okay?" So like I said, I know you. You know me. Yes. And I'm a guy who is polarizing. You know what I mean? So
indeed,
to say the least, right?
Indeed.
Like either you really really like me, or you don't like me at all. You know what I mean? There is no middle ground. So I guess I'll ask you, how do you just strut that line? I mean, are you just a in the background kind of guy, or
no? It's not necessarily being in the background because I'm a leader. But
you're a leader.
I've always been a person that can see both sides, and I always make people feel like you hear them. So even if we arguing about something, it's like, hey, I understand ABC, but here's why I think you're wrong. And so when you're debating or having arguments with somebody, people just want to be heard. And so that's something that I just do naturally. Like I make sure that I hear and understand what you're saying, but I'm still going to have my own perspective and I'm going to let you know what mine is. And so I've just always been that kind of guy. Obviously, we wasn't having vicious debates in junior high school. I was just the guy that, if he's not your friend, that doesn't mean I'm not going to be cool with him.
That's real.
And I'm still your friend. Your friend don't have to be my friend. My friend don't have to be your friend. And so I was always able to just be that honorable dude that, stood by his people and, got along with most folks.
So that's interesting. I mean, you talked about like the kind of spirit of debate a little bit in that. The show before this show that I produced was a debate show.
Oh, for real? Okay.
Yeah, it was. It was Across the Bar podcast. And so on this one, it's a little bit different format. I mean, if you don't know what it is, you'll see it right now. But I kind of wonder about the debate thing. Do you wait? Like, do you listen to somebody with the anticipation to reply to them, or do you listen to someone with the intention to incorporate their ideas and use them? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, the more heated the discussion, you're trying to make sure you get your points out. And so it's easy to go into that mode where, they're talking and all I'm doing is formulating what was I getting ready to say when I last stopped talking. So I'm not even hearing what they're saying. And so I try to train myself to not do that and actually respond in the moment. And it's an exercise. It's something that you got to practice doing because it's not natural. That's not a natural thing. That's something that I've started doing more recently. As I've been working in local government, working in communities and neighborhoods and trying to hear what people are actually saying. Because most of the time, what you hear and see is not what's really going on in the background. It's something behind it. And if you listen hard enough, you can hear what's behind whatever the issue is. And I'm thinking about community issues. You may go to a community meeting and, somebody's yelling at you about trash being on the road. But what's behind it is not this bag of trash on the road.
Right.
What's behind it is for the last 20 years, my neighborhood has been neglected and nobody has cared about my community. And this bag of trash is representative of how y'all treat us. That's what they're saying. They want you to hear their pain. They want you to feel what they've been feeling for the last 20 years. And so that's what I try to train myself to do is listen behind the not noise, but the words, what's behind it. And so I think, the more you practice it, the better you get at it.
What's the message in the music, right?
Yeah. What's the message? Yeah, what's behind it?
I like that. Hey, Convict, pay up, man. Thanks for sponsoring the show and all, but let's get some money in here.
Yeah.
All right, listen. I love that example about what really is behind the scenes. I think there are layers to almost every problem. I do agree with that vehemently, and that's actually a big part of my work as a project manager. My other job.
Yeah.
That's a big part of what we do. So I can certainly appreciate that, and I hope all of you guys do as well. All right. So where did you get this? Where did you get this this disposition that you have from? Who was your role model, or and before you answer that, I want the real role model, and then and then I want the guy that or woman that you see on TV or the celebrity that you also incorporate. So tell me about that a little bit.
Man, there's a lot of celebrities that I try to incorporate.
Okay.
But in terms of real people, obviously my dad, the first man that you see, my brother, man, my older brother, man, that was my idol. He's dealing with his issues now, but growing up, I just wanted to be like him. He pledged Kappa. I want to pledge Kappa. He's just a cool dude. In terms of who had the greatest impact on my disposition, it probably was my dad, though, just because, he lived a life of service. That's all he did. So, I watched it every day, and it just bled off on me, my little brother, and my older sister. So that's just all of us. We work in public service, and we married people that are working in public service.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just something that bled off on me. And then when it comes to celebrities, it's plenty of them.
you got to give me one though.
Yeah,
you ain't finna get by with that.
Jay-Z. Jay-Z. I try to embody some of the confidence that Jay-Z has. My partner, Q. Q always says irrational confidence. Dude, you shouldn't even be that confident. But you got to have that irrational confidence, because if you don't, who will? And so that's what I respect about, and he's just, the greatest rapper of all time. So
really,
yeah, really? It's between him and us. To me, for me, I'm all about bars. I'm all about the words that you're saying and how cleverly you can put it together. And they've been rapping for 30 years.
Yeah, and that's going to lead me
and
to...
they still nice.
Yeah, that's going to lead me to a programming note. This show actually is taking place in 2022.
2022, yeah.
And Paul seems to be in 1991. So we're going to try to get him... We're going to try to get him somewhere.
I like what I like, bro. You asked me who my influences are, man. Yeah.
That's true.
But Jay just had... I'm trying to think of who else. I picked electrical engineering as my major in school because of Dwayne Wayne on The Different World.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes.
All right. So you really grew up as an inner city youth.
In the 90s,
I mean, you watch different worlds. You listen to, you listen to
man,
rap.
we Memphis kids, bro.
I mean,
Memphis,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, you are like Memphis. You know
I am
what I'm
Memphis,
like,
man. I am Memphis. I mean, I listen to 3-6, 8-Ball, MJG, Player Fly, all of that.
Hey, so there was something funny that happened. We were out somewhere, and I think somebody played "Nobody Needs Nobody," and so I always watch because I always want to see who's really from Memphis.
Yeah,
you were the last dude rapping.
Oh yeah.
You were the last dude rapping.
Yeah.
Anytime you are the last dude rapping on "Nobody Needs Nobody," you are Memphis.
You get them first few bars out, everybody know it. Then it's like, all right.
Yep.
How deep are you?
That's right.
I go deep. I go deep. I go deep with it, man. I'm Memphis to the core, man.
Hey, D-Voice guy, he said he go deep with it. What'd you think about it?
Pause.
Okay.
Oh man, y'all crazy.
That's what I was thinking about that. All right. All right, man. So that's cool to hear that. And I wanted to kind of shed a little light on, who you are, who you were, and some of those influences, because you got a big thing to do.
Yeah.
You have the responsibility of being a candidate for the mayor of Memphis.
Mayor of Memphis, man, 2023.
2023.
Look forward to getting support from all across the city. I want to be the unifying candidate, the one that really brings Memphis together and pushes us into the future. And I always say, man, it's no shade to whoever has been mayor before me, but Memphis has never had a mayor like me. We've never had a mayor that comes from a background where you've actually been training as a community development professional in local government for the last 20 years. You've actually been listening to communities and what they want and turning it into action for the last 20 years. And so I feel very, very confident going into this race. There are a lot of good people that are in the race, and I just simply say they're good, but I'm the best for the job. There's no question to it.
So what are you most proud of leading up to this? Like, what accomplishment are you most proud of out of all those that you mentioned?
Yeah, out of all of them, I always bring up historic Melrose because that was an opportunity where we went to the community, we had a problem, and we came with a solution. So historic Melrose is a building that was vacant for the last 20 years. And not 20 years, 40 years, since 1979, the year I was born. This school went vacant, and it sat in the community, vacant and blighted. And in the early 2000s, they were getting ready to tear the building down. And then some of the matriarchs of the community, they were like, hell no, you're not going to do it. We're going to chain ourselves to the building. We're not going to let this happen. And so the city held off. They didn't tear down the building. They even allocated some funds and just held it. And so when I came into the role, I was working on the fairgrounds, or what is now Liberty Park, to bring that new 200,000 square foot youth sports facility, which is now going to be completed in a couple of weeks. We were working on that, and I went to the community and said, what thing do you guys need that would make you guys feel like this project has benefited Orange Mound? And what they said was, well, can you get some of those tourists that are going to be coming to their youth sports facility to come over to Orange Mound? We want them to come over here and spend some money. And we said, all right, well, what asset do we have that we can make it something that can draw tourists in? And so they said, well, what about this building? What can we do at this building? It's been vacant for 40 years and we want something to happen. And so we worked really hard. And what we came up with was to turn it into a library and genealogy center that's focused on African-American history, given that Orange Mound is one of the most historic Black communities in the country. And so not just in Memphis, but in the country. And so when you have a library with a genealogy center that's focused on African-American genealogy, that makes it a draw. And so I was able to bring all the resources to bear to make that project happen. And when I called Miss Mary Mitchell, who's the matriarch of the community, I'll never forget. And I was like, we have the money. We've convinced the mayor to put the money aside, and he agreed. She was crying on the phone, and she was like, I'm about to go running in the streets right now. You just don't know what this means to me. Like that, I'm crying on the phone listening to her, because I was like, man, this is what it's all about. And that is what I want to do more of. I need the opportunity to continue that type of work at a high level. Memphis has never had a leader that has my background, and I think it's time for me to step up to the plate. I know it was long, but hey, I had to give you full context of why I'm so proud of it.
That's dope. I mean, that really is dope because in a former life, I was a police officer.
Yeah, I know.
And I worked in the exact area that you're talking about in Orange Mound. And
so you know the building.
I know the building very well. As a matter of fact, I know the inside, the dilapidated guts of the building.
I'm sure there's quite a few people that know the inside because they were running in and out of it.
Yeah, and just to speak a little bit more to how important it was. You know, this side you don't really get to hear about or see. Like we would get, you know, behind that building you're talking about sits a playground.
Yeah, that they used to light on fire. Playground. Yeah,
you know what I mean. Kids, like young kids, and there was at least a hole in the side of that building for years. And what would happen is you would get some people that were without a home that would stay there, and some of them, you know, had issues,
right? And
some of them had criminal issues, and some of them would try to lure those children inside of that building, and we would get calls in there. And I have actually been inside of that building and made some arrests of some very bad people. So I know it's important from your aspect, but you don't understand the kids that don't, you know, that are just too young and innocent to even know that they were saved by this project. You know what I mean? It, at any point, it could have been them.
And then I always think about just from a psychological perspective, if you live in a neighborhood where you have significant blight, like buildings that are vacant and dormant, and you growing up in the 80s and you walking down the street, you're 10 years old, and you walk past this building, it's vacant, blighted, with the same conditions you just described. You come back when you're in your 20s, in the 90s, same building, same issues. You in your 30s, in the 2000s, same issues, same building, same blight. You're in your 40s, in the 2010s. You're in your 40s. You've been looking at this your whole life.
Yeah.
What does that mean to your psyche? What does that mean for people that live in that neighborhood? What does that mean for their pride? And I always say when things look like people don't care, you treat it like people don't care.
And people stop caring. They do.
And so when we start talking about crime, like all of this is connected. What is the mindset of the folks in our communities, and why is their mindset that way? Some of it is, you know, issues in the home. Some of it is, you know, dad not being there, and we know those things. Some of it is the community is decimated and there's a lack of resources, and there's visibly, you don't see optimism and hope. You don't see anything that makes you feel like you can get further. And so you just say F it and do whatever you want.
This is really easy for me and you because we're two black men, and, you know, we happen to be talking about the same area. We care about historical Melrose. We care about historical Orange Mound being the first black community in Memphis. We care about all this stuff. We get it. How do you convey that to non-African Americans, and that passion that should be there for disenfranchised communities that they don't necessarily visit?
Yeah, I give them the same message. I mean, the image that I just described of walking past a vacant, blighted building for the last 40 years, like that has there's no other way but for that to resonate. Because when you think about what that really means, nobody would want to live next door to that. Nobody would want that in their community. And so that just gives a little glimpse of what it's like in the neighborhood. But, you know, when I'm talking to, you know, folks from the other side of the aisle, whether it's Republicans or Democrats or white, Hispanic, black, like we all want the same things. Everybody wants to be safe. And right now, that's the message that everybody wants, is safety. What are you going to do to make us safe? And what I try to convince people is that it has to be a dual approach. It can't just be locking people up. We got to do that. We got to lock those folks up that are out here terrorizing our neighborhoods and communities, and they got to go away. And hopefully they go into a justice system that focuses on reform. But my job as mayor is get them out of circulation. And that's what I tell people. But I also tell them that there's the other side of the equation where we have to focus on intervention and prevention. And if we're not doing those things, and the intervention and prevention, that means putting people in programs, identifying these young folks that are on the wrong path, We got to do those things. And then we also have to do all of the other things, which means neighborhood development. That means cleaning up our neighborhoods. That means economic development, creating jobs and opportunities. That means investment in youth. So making sure that our young people have things to do, whether it's recreational or academic. And then lastly, investing in arts and culture, like the things that make us special as a city, the thing that's put us on the map for the last 100 years. Those are the things that we have to invest in. And honestly, it resonates in every room I go into because it's really what we need.
I've had good ideas before, and I've had great ideas before, and I was like, you know what? I should run for mayor. And then I go play video games and take a shot.
Yeah.
So what gave you that next step? Like what made you actually want to take the steps to file the paperwork to do this and do that and go visit here and go visit? What was, first of all, was there a single event or were there several events related to it? And well, let's just start there. Was there a single event?
I mean, I try and make it short, but for me,
no, don't.
There's a couple of things that happened. And we got time. All right, I'm gonna go into. We got time today. So just to give more on the story, I graduated from University of Tennessee with a degree in electrical engineering. While I was in college, my mom called me, and both my mom and dad been preachers for many years. And my mom would always have these prophetic visions. And she called me one day when I was still in college. I was like, I don't know where this came from, but I saw this in a dream, and you're going to be in politics. I don't know what it means. I don't know how that's going to happen, but you can take it to the bank. You're going to be in politics. And I was like, Mom, I ain't nowhere on that path. I'm about to do electrical engineering. Fast forward, I became a lobbyist, essentially, the legislative liaison for Shelby County. And we was like, all right, that was it. Always at that point had been my dream was for me to be the director of housing. I wanted to be able to have an opportunity to revitalize neighborhoods. God saw fit for that to happen for me in 2016. And I was able to do a lot of amazing things in that role. But when I was in that job, what I saw, and it was probably around 2018 or so, right before Mayor Strickland's second election campaign, that's when I started seeing, like, of course, this is an amazing job. But as I think about the future, I think that what I'm preparing for is to be mayor, because all of the things that I want to see happen in the community, I can't do it unless the mayor agrees to it. And what if the mayor was the one envisioning these types of ideas for our community? And so I went to Mayor Strickland and I said, hey, I'd love to have an opportunity. And he said, well, hey, I think that would be great. And so, no commitment on his part, but it was encouraging to think that he thought that I could do it too. And so I always had it in the back of my mind. I came over to be DMC president, and I still had it in the back of my mind, but I had really kind of pushed it to the side. I had decided when I got that job that, I'm gonna hold off because this job is amazing. I love what I'm doing. I'm having a significant impact on the region. And it was, as we kind of navigated, and I had a few more conversations, there were some people that were saying that it would be a good thing. People that know me closely and knew that that was something that I would have in my future said, well, no better time than the present. Go for it in 2023. I had actually made the decision I wasn't going to do it. And I called my dad last fall. I'll never forget. I called him one morning, and actually he might have called me, but we were on the phone one morning. He was asking me what about I was going to do. And I was like, I'm not going to run. I think I'm going to sit this one out. I could use more years in this job. And he was like, all right, well, you do whatever you want to do. But let me tell you this. If your grandparents would have ever dreamed that their grandchild would have the option to think about running for mayor of this city, they would go for it. They would tell you, go for it. Like, this ain't really about you. God been preparing you for this. Like, think about what this means for our family and for the legacy of what we can mean for this city, because, that's the work that he did. And he was like, now you do what you want with it, but
how do you say do it without saying do it, right?
Yeah. You do what you want with it, but just take that with you.
All right, then I'm
take that with you. And so, when I thought about it like that, and then, we were in COVID and people were still dying, and, I thought, man, life is short. And right now I'm at the point in my career where I've done it for 20 years. I'm still young enough to connect to the young people, old enough to understand and appreciate the wisdom and perspective of the older folks. And so it's time, man. I just felt like, what are we waiting on? Will I be better in 8 years than I am today? I don't think so. I think I'm ready now. I'll still be good in 8 years. I'll only be 51. But I think the time is now. I think the time is now for our city. And the city needs, it's time for us to move into the future.
Let me go back just a little bit. Shifting from electrical engineering into politics. Who was the first person that you think believed in you and said, you know what, this guy belongs in government. Let's get him in.
From a government perspective,
who would you credit that with?
I would
who would
say,
you credit putting you on this path?
Well, Dottie Jones was the first person to hire me in government. Dottie Jones, former community services director for Shelby County. Shout out to Dottie. But then it was Mayor Luttrell, Mark Luttrell. So I got hired under Joe Ford in 2010 in April. And then Ford lost re-election in August of 2010. And then Mayor Luttrell won. And so I thought I was going to get fired because I didn't know Mayor Luttrell. He didn't know me. He was a Republican candidate. I was a Democrat. And, he didn't have a reason to keep me. But he said he'd move me into his office and give me a shot. And that's what he did. And as he saw what I brought to the table, he kept putting me in different roles. He made me the first administrator for the Office of Sustainability, which was an office that was focused on green initiatives. And in that role, I did this project called the Green Print, where we put together this plan that involved 18 municipalities, 3 different counties. So I got a chance to work with a ton of people. And so in that role, Mark Luttrell really, really helped me out. And he allowed me to thrive. And then Strickland gave me a shot in 2016.
How long ago was that?
That was 2011 when I became the sustainability administrator.
So you've been technically reaching across the island working. That was 11, you said?
2011, yeah.
Okay, so you've technically been reaching across the island working directly with other parties and municipalities for over a decade.
Yeah.
I don't think people know that. I really don't, because the thing is, as I look at young on your shirt, you are young. You know what I'm saying? you actually are young.
Absolutely.
And, people, people like my father who's 75. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have a hard time.
Yeah, they don't believe we can do it.
They just, it's like, maybe when he gets about 30, he'll be great. I'm sorry, in 30 more years, he'll be great. You know what I mean? Like, they think you just gotta, be wheelchairing yourself in there to be a great candidate, right? But I mean, I guess, let me ask, how do you overcome that? Like, how do you
talk? I mean, when you talk to me, man,
let them know your background. Like,
absolutely. You got to that's why I talked about that Jay-Z. Like, you got to puff up your chest a little bit. And it's kind of, initially it was uncomfortable for me because I'm a humble dude. As you know, like, I'm not the kind of person that want to talk about myself a lot. But for the journey that I'm on, I realized that if I don't do it, nobody else will. So I got to let people know that you got a lot of candidates jumping in the race. Line us up. Ask us 10 questions about anything. Don't give us the script. I told you before I came. Don't ask me the questions in advance. Don't give them to me.
Hey, look, he didn't listen.
I want you to give it to me raw, because I want to show you that what I'm spitting is not what somebody's feeding me. I've been the person that have written the remarks for the mayors and given them all the talking points. Like, this stuff is in me. I've been living this. And that doesn't mean I know everything. That just means that I'm prepared. And if I can't answer it, I'm going to tell you I can't answer it, and I'm going to go back and find the answer and come back and holler at you, because that's the kind of person that I am. So I think that once I get an opportunity to be before people, it's no question. It's going to be a done deal.
All right. So you mentioned some inside baseball in there. Let me elaborate for the audience.
My bad.
That. No.
I didn't mean to give up the show.
I'm smiling. I wish you guys could see me. I'm smiling ear to ear. So what he's talking about in that blurb to open up was, I said, hey, look, Paul, we're friends, okay? But I was like, hey, I'm gonna, we're gonna do the show, and I'll advance you the questions, okay? And that way, Right. You don't like something, right? He was like, you said, man, no, I don't want no questions. Like, let's just do it natural. Yeah. And I was like, I mean, okay, but my show is, it goes all kind of ways, right? Yeah. And you're like, I don't care, just don't give me the questions. And then yesterday, as soon as that, we talked again, and I was like, hey, So maybe I should just tell you some of the stuff that I'm going to stay away from here. Like, no, bring it. I don't care what it is.
Yeah, it's my job to dodge the question if I can't answer. I mean, you start talking about specific folks and things, like I don't get into that, and it's my job to handle it.
Big balls, mayor.
Pause.
Okay, sorry. All right, no. I love it, though. I'm glad you mentioned that because honestly, I think it was like the most admirable thing a person can do. Listen, you're always on the go lately. We used to talk all the time. We keep in contact, but not as much as we used to. But I know why, and I respect it, and I'm so proud of you. But I always say to you, I say, are you relaxing? Are you cool? Are you able to take a break? Are you? I'm very, very. That's something I'm big on. Yeah. I've expressed that on the show in the past for me and others. What do you do to relax? Like, what is when you finally are done with your packed day? Going all over the city. What do you do to relax? What is your go-to?
Man, watch senseless TV. The housewife shows. I know, don't start joking on me, man. It's because my wife, man. Nah, come on, bro.
No. Everybody's got a favorite. I like that. I used to like that Nene one.
Nah, Nene's cool. Yeah. Okay, she's on Atlanta. I like Candy on Atlanta.
Is Kenya one?
Kenya, she's cool. I mean, I like all of them because they're entertaining.
I like her. Don't tell you on that. Don't tell you on that.
I like the Potomac folks. I like the Potomacs. Those are the two that I watch, and then I watch Married to Medicine.
Yeah, she likes that too.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what. And then Snowfall, all the 50 Cent shows, Power all that, BMF.
God, I wish I could have.
But Snowfall is like the best show on TV right now.
I've heard that a lot.
You hadn't watched it?
I've seen
That's
one
episode.
Bro.
I've seen one
episode.
Yeah, you need to
But I've seen all the Power, though. I bet you didn't force yourself to sit through all that, have you?
First Power, of course, I watched all of those. The Tommy I didn't get into. That one was a little. What I was waiting. That one wasn't as engaging for me.
It was not.
But I like the one with Lil Tariq on it. Tariq is cool.
Yeah. He's hard though. He's a little annoying. You know, what
he was on Power, but on his show, I think he's good. I like him on there.
Teach me to gain ghost.
No, he's cool on there. I'm trying to think what else, man. But I watch TV. Like that's what I do, or listen to music. I've been really getting on this new Nas album. Like I like to listen to stuff that make me think, and when I listen to it, I hear something I didn't hear the first time. So I'm a huge rap hip hop fan. That's probably the most relaxation. I don't do a lot of it right now because, man, like you said, I'm on the go. Had a tough last month, lost my dad last month. So we've been in that mode. Appreciate that. But it's honestly just made me go harder because now I know, like, since that conversation I just told you about, like, this is what he was pushing. This is what he wanted to see. I wanted him to be here for the journey. I know he watching, so we're going to make him proud.
Hey, look, man, when you win this thing.
That's right.
When you win this thing, do not be afraid to release. I'm serious about that. I mean, do not be afraid to let all that hard work just come pouring out.
Yeah, absolutely.
No matter how it does through speeches or emotions. Hey, look, we're gonna go ahead and take a commercial break. All right, we're gonna jump into the bourbon review, and then we're gonna get the tough questions. This is where you're gonna hate me right here. Okay, all right. So we're gonna play our sponsor who doesn't pay me, and then
I need one of those. Then I can sponsor everything.
Go to break.
Is your neighborhood filled with blight and criminal littering due to tire dumping? Call Memphis Tire Recyclers to find out how to rid your neighborhood of this unwanted scourge. Memphis Tire Recyclers is a proud sponsor of the Spirited Network podcast and a champion advocate for keeping Memphis beautiful. That's Memphis Tire Recyclers. Call them for information on how they can serve a proud Memphian like you. Visit the website for more details. Memphis Tire Recyclers, proudly serving greater Memphis and beyond.
Well, D voice guy keeps killing it, and my pockets keep getting slimmer. Oh, they gotta eat. All right, man. Shout out to Memphis Tire Recyclers. They are helping with the mission that Paul said, which is cleaning up blight in the communities.
Shout out Tire Recyclers.
Yes, absolutely. That's DB and Courtney. So great friends of mine as well. All right. So we gotta get you loosened up for these tough questions.
All right, let's do it.
It's time for our bourbon review. All right, listen. We got something special on hand, but how we do it though is we don't leave you dry. We wanted you to take the drink first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a very, very, very special fine bourbon, very hard to find. If you get your hands on it, and I'll tell y'all about all the stats afterward. You get your hands on it, you buy it immediately. Even if you don't drink, buy it. It'll resell for double the price, probably triple, probably quadruple.
Right.
So we got some snifters in front of us. And we are going to sample this. And before we do that, we need to give a toast. So Paul, all my guest hosts always toast to something. I want to know what you want to toast to. What are we going to toast to?
I want to toast to Ashley Cash. Ashley Cash, she's an amazing person. She's leading housing and community development, your better half. She makes you a much better person, and you need her. So cheers to Ashley.
Hey, look, in 3 years, she's going to thank you when she listens to the show.
Cheers, bro.
Posted.
Oh, it's the whole thing? I thought I was just tasting it. Boy,
I like it a lot. I just
man.
you have as much, as little as much as you want.
Took that down, boy. You drinking like a cowboy.
I was thirsty. All right.
Yeah.
So
I'm ready to pour some ice on this. Pour this on ice.
Hey, look, you got a nice rock in front of you. But before we do that, we got to get your initial reaction though to that. So what did you think about that? What was describe it for us? What flavors did you get out of it? What
Man, I'm terrible with that kind of stuff. I can. It tastes like whiskey to me. It tastes like good whiskey.
So you're gonna be like, what a Coke it?
No, I'm beyond Coke in my whiskey.
Okay,
I just
good.
put it on water now. But,
Okay.
Man, let me taste it again. Let me see if I can taste any.
Yeah. So now he's gonna taste it with a rock in it.
Man, I'm sorry, bro. I need a list of words that I can pick from. Like,
okay.
do I taste hickory?
So,
I don't know.
So like one of the okay. So we had a
Sommelier.
sommelier, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
on the show before. And he was like, okay, this one is a little oak and blah, blah. And I'm like, bro, I don't eat trees. I don't know.
But you can taste from the smoke from the grill and all that kind of stuff. But I just don't, I don't know it well
I
enough.
don't either. But I guess
it is very, very good.
Okay,
it's very
that's
tasty.
what we're looking for. Is it
I like
good?
it a lot, actually.
Yes.
Especially on this ice.
Yes, it is wonderful.
It's very smooth.
That's actually my first time cracking that open.
What is it? You gonna tell us?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So what it is Blood Oath pack number 8. So there are 8 packs in, so about the last 8 years. This is a 49% alcohol by volume, or vice versa. And so it's very close to Wild Turkey levels,
right?
And I always say, if you want to taste the difference in between something good that's 100 proof and something that's just 100 proof,
right?
You're gonna take a shot of Wild Turkey and then come back and try this.
Because Wild Turkey is not great, right?
Oh God,
yeah,
no.
it's pretty bad. But I've had some.
You will have hair you didn't even think.
But I've had
like out there.
Single barrel Wild Turkey, or it was some type of Wild Turkey that was much better than what I remembered Wild Turkey tasting like.
They can dress it up a lot. But I mean, this bottle here, you haven't even seen it. Let me show you this.
I hadn't seen it, bro. Oh, you hadn't it? Okay, I see.
Yeah. So it's actually in a coffin. All right, it's in a coffin. And the thing is, like, you pull it up, and then there's the
very, very attractive packaging.
It's very theatrical. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a release. You know what I mean? Let's get this thing out of here.
I might need some more.
Yeah. We can do that. Send it over my way when you're done.
Mm-hmm. I will.
But yeah, man. This is like by far one of my favorites, man. It is a beautiful, beautiful bottle. It is very, very hard to find. I mean, it is a very, very rare find. Usually they're reserved for patrons of stores, frequent patrons,
nice. How you
or
get it?
athletes. So I had Spirits of Timber Creek was a big part of my show.
Okay.
Throughout the couple of years.
Got it.
And they got me one. They saved me one. Yeah.
That's the one over off
Warner Grove and Timber Creek.
Yeah.
Yep.
By Subway over there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's the one.
Exactly
and,
where you at.
Yeah, they hooked me up with it, man, and they don't give you two.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you that. So you get one, they remember. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you ain't going back there and like, just stacking up.
Right.
So anyway, it's really good stuff. 10 out of 10. Certified stamp, all that good stuff. So I hope you really enjoyed that.
I enjoyed it, man.
And
I poured some more.
Yeah,
so
I was
I'm
gonna
good.
say, now that the seal is broken, it's all yours.
All right. Let's get it.
All right. So, are you ready to be on this hot seat, man?
Let's do it.
All right. I hope we can still be friends on this. All right, listen.
I told you, if I can't answer, I'm just not going to answer. So. Ask whatever you want.
You just gonna walk out of the studio?
Yeah. I'm just gonna get up like, all right, bro, appreciate you, man.
And then I just have deep voice guy.
Damn.
And then that'll be we'll wrap the show.
That's the end. We wrap it up.
Wrap it up. It's like, okay, outro. All right, listen, man. For the people in the back, why do we even care about mayor? Like, what is the flex there? What power do you actually have? To make change?
So in the city of Memphis,
we hear stuff from presidents.
Yeah, we have I would say the mayor impacts your life even more than the president. If you're a resident of Memphis, the things that you see driving down the street, hidden potholes, or the ability to actually remove a blighted structure from next door to your home, or coming to cut vacant lots. Picking up your trash, providing the police, fire department, libraries, parks, community centers, all of that falls under the purview of your city mayor. And, when you look at, the other things that are happening in the community, whether it's public education, which is run by the school boards, criminal justice, which is mostly a Shelby County government function, not Shelby County government proper, but the government of Shelby County, the various entities that are in Shelby County. The mayor has to coordinate. The city mayor has to coordinate with all of those folks in order to impact the day-to-day life of individuals. And as mayor, you can say, it's not my problem, let them handle it. Or you can be like me and say, it's all of our problem. And so I want to use my influence to help you solve the problem in all of these other entities.
All right. That is.
Are these supposed to be quick answers? My bad.
No.
Okay.
No, there is nothing quick about the show.
Oh, okay. All right. I was like, man,
we don't
make it shorter.
No, we don't.
Just try to give some context.
Nope. When we get to pouring, dog, you get to relaxing. Okay.
All right, cool.
No, I mean, I think that one is important because the last show that I did, that came out Friday. Oh, I'm sorry. A couple of Fridays ago, last Friday, was about the midterm elections, and they were not as well attended, I would say, as the last few elections. And I wonder, does that apathy or that that hesitancy or latency or whatever you want to call it, does it trickle down to the city level?
Absolutely.
You think it does?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
So
I mean,
how do you rally that? Like, how do you get people excited to vote for you?
I think for me, my plan is to be different. I'm not the traditional politician. I'm not somebody that has been running political campaigns my whole career. I've never, ever run a political campaign. But I'm putting people around me that have and that are smart, that can figure that part out. And I think what inspires people is to feel authenticity, to feel like general excitement. Like the last time people I think were really, really excited was Obama. And the energy that Obama brought was because he represented something different than what we had been seeing. It wasn't just that he was black. He was actually the most qualified candidate. He was actually the most engaging candidate. He was actually the most fun person to listen to as a candidate. He was interesting.
Those pregnant pauses really did something right.
and he just happened to be black. Like, those things matter. So I just happen to be young, which is something that I think people will be excited about. But I'm actually the best candidate. I actually have the depth of experience. I actually have the receipts to show you what I've been doing in this community for the last 20 years. It just so happens that I happen to be the youngest, which means I have the ability to connect to younger folks in a different way than some of the more established politicians in the race.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Not due to knowing you, but just kind of what I've seen. So what I'm referring to is like I've seen that you've I've been a part of it. You did a barbershop series.
Yeah. Appreciate you coming on there, man. That's been a hit, bro. I've been getting a lot of good feedback from it. Oh,
great, man. I thank you for having me on that.
We got a lot more coming.
Well, can I come back?
No, we don't do repeats, bro.
Sure.
No, we must get you back on there.
So funny thing about that is, I actually hate barbershops. I stopped going to the barbershops
because you that dude that they argue with every time you come in there.
Well, no. Let me tell you what happened. I was in the barbershop. And this guy, you know, we got guys that sweep around and get extra money. Course, yeah. And this guy said, "Hey, you know the Super Bowl coming on pay-per-view this year." and bro, I had a high stress job, okay, and I'm just there to get my hair cut. I'm ready to get the hell up out of there. Right. And this dude says the Super Bowl is coming on. It was like, and then somebody, and then the barber, you know, casually like, man, no, go on somewhere. You know, like when I just real casual. Right. And, you know, I wouldn't be like that. I'd be real spirited about what I say. Right. You know what I mean? But this dude was real casual. He was like, man, I am serious. So he gets amped up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm serious, man. I saw it on TV. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh my God, don't line my hair. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. Yeah. I have not been back to a barbershop since I did that. Man,
you know, I mean, the barbershop, that's where you get the pulse of the community. You get to hear what people think. Sometimes it's a little outlandish. And sometimes the story get exaggerated, like Super Bowl coming on.
Man, the Super Bowl coming on pay-per-view. I'm like
come on, bro.
And we really like entertain. I mean, are we really gonna just let this guy say this? Like, get him out of here. Anyway, but that's why you had a temperament and I don't. So anyway, so you did the barbershop series. Yep. And I know they can catch it on your Twitter.
They can catch it on any social media at Young for Memphis. That's LinkedIn. Okay. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
You got a website?
Oh, yeah, duh. Okay. I'm sorry. Youngformemphis.com.
Okay, yes. Youngformemphis.com is a website. And then all your handles on the different social media sites are on youngformemphis.com.
Yeah, exactly.
And he is Paul Young. All right. And okay. So we can watch those videos.
Yeah, you can check out the videos. We got, like I said, we have more coming. I just posted a reel today of how things went out at the Christmas parade in Whitehaven, which was amazing, man. We're getting good reception. There's general excitement when I'm walking up to folks and telling them I'm running for mayor. Half the time they're shocked because they're like, man, you ain't old enough for that. And then I started talking. They're like, yeah, bro, you got this. You got this. You the one. Like the feedback, like I said, it's been amazing, man. So it's just a matter of me continuing to push, and I'm gonna do the hard work. So I don't have no problems with, you know, people saying that I don't have enough name recognition. Okay, I'll show you.
Yeah, I realize that. So when I speak, I realize that I have the voice of an adolescent, right. And so I always try to mimic you when you talk. So I try to, you know, like, yeah. So we going.
Man, don't act like I'm fun though. You know, that's really my voice.
It really is, yeah. But it's not mine. And I just try. I've been working on it. Right. Still pretty bad at it, but I'll keep working at it. But I did want to get that information out there. You guys really should watch that, especially when coming to talking about crime. That was one of the topics that you touched on, and you also touched on. That was something early on the second video that you really got into. I can't really remember what it was, but I did want to include it here. So there's a mystery for you guys. Go solve it by going to youngformemphis.com and watch those two videos. He addresses crime on there, and he also solicits some suggestions from former law enforcement as well. So I thought it was very beneficial. I won't even waste time with the crime thing right now on this show because it's available on youngformemphis.com. Yeah. So let's move on. Do you have... Oh, no. Okay.
Uh-oh.
So let me
excited
set
about
this one. Yeah, I did. I remember one of my favorite programs of all time.
Okay,
and that
what
was
it?
that was the Memphis mayoral race, with AC Warden and Jim Strickland
Mm-hmm.
and Dr. Sharon Webb and others. And my personal,
Might be one of these no comments right
these
here.
are not your words, but
These
my
are not going to be my words.
no, these are not your words. But my personal lovable loser, Carol Chomney. I love that. I love her. She's such a fighter. You know what I'm saying? Like, she doesn't care if she's gonna lose again for the 80th time. She's just gonna get out there.
She just won.
And she did.
She's a judge.
And
I just met her for the first time. She was
I admired that persistence. I would be
very nice person.
I'm sure she is.
Yeah,
I'm sure she is. I'd like to meet her one day. Introduce me one day.
I mean, I don't know her like that,
Oh,
but I met her and she was cool.
Okay, fine, whatever. All right.
But tell me about the moment.
Yeah. So I'm watching it. I'm watching the show, and then they get to one of the candidates. I'm not even going to name which one, but they were in that list, and they asked this candidate what they were going to do about the homeless situation in Memphis and improve it.
Yep.
And the person took a pregnant pause, and then they said, well, I think what I want to do is I want to take some of these old buildings that ain't nobody using and just put all the homeless people inside of them.
I hear that often.
And then it'll just get rid of the homeless problem. And I'm just thinking, like, you're gonna need about 50 police departments if you go to that. You're gonna need about 18 officers walking every floor. You know what I mean? Because it's gonna be crime everywhere. That thing, like, it's gonna be an asylum, basically, is what you're describing, which was done inhumane many years ago.
I mean, it's a noble idea, and it makes sense if you think on its face,
and you know it. It's juvenile and infantile.
I wouldn't say that.
It is.
It's just not thinking about the rest of the project. Of what it takes. Like, anything. A lot of people in the community say, man, you got all these vacant school buildings, they could be used for ABC. And that's not an unreasonable statement. But the reality is, you're not thinking about what it takes to run it. Like, we can build anything. We can pretty much build whatever we want using city resources in an efficient way. Like, you can find a way to bond it where you're paying a little bit a year, and you can work in all types of repayment sources to get the thing built. The question is, how can you operate it? What does it take to efficiently operate a homeless service center? There are entities that do it. You can look at their budgets and see how they're doing it. And I can tell you it's not cheap. When I was director of housing, we did a lot of coordination for homeless resources. And when you think about what it takes to actually staff these places on a regular basis, what other service do they need other than just a bed? Like, these folk need more than just a bed, especially those that are chronically homeless. So, I don't think
there's health issues involved.
And mental health, drug, substance abuse.
Absolutely, yeah.
They have, things on their record that prevent them from getting jobs, which is something that we need to work out as a society. But from a day-to-day perspective, they still have that challenge of not being able to get over the hump. And so you got to pair these homeless services, which, if we're talking about, in this instance, a place to stay, you got to pair a place to stay with case management. The case management is what's going to cost you. The people side is what's going to cost you. And so you just have to have a more well thought out approach. You can still use the old school building. So like I said, it's not a bad idea. That's what we did with Collins Chapel. This is another project that I was involved with. A vacant building that had been vacant for many years. It was the first hospital for African Americans. It was St. Joseph's Hospital over there on Ayers. CME Church bought it. The CME Bishop Williamson at the time, had met with me maybe 2 years prior to us actually executing and said, we had this vision. Our church has a vision to turn this into a place where a skilled nursing facility, and we can bring people in here. And I had worked with them and talked to them about the business plan and said, all right, we can get the building fixed up, but what's the business plan? How is this going to operate? And ultimately, I ended up pairing him with Room in the Inn, who actually provides homeless services. And so now you have a business plan and people that are getting paid to do the business paired with an actual building, and you put them together and it worked. But it's not as simple as people think, but it can be done.
Okay.
So
All right.
I ain't taking up for who I know who it was.
That candidate, so why it's my favorite actually.
Yeah.
It's not because of that answer.
Yeah.
It's because two things. One, I saw Joe Birch turn into Hulk Hogan, and he was like, "Hey, hey!" Every time somebody clapped or smiled or laughed or anything, "Hey, you got to stop it, or you get put out of there." And then the other thing was
Joe Birch wasn't having it.
Oh crap! I said she. Okay, that candidate walked off stage and was like, just in the middle of a question, was like, "I think I've answered everything I'm going to answer for this campaign. Thank you for your time." And they were out. That was it. It was so bizarre. Like it was great. And I lost it when I switched cable. All right, so thank you for that and your elaboration on that. All right, now listen. I learned a thing. Because I read papers.
Okay.
And Daily Memphian was one of them that I read.
I already know where you're going. Go ahead.
I don't think you do. But
okay. Well, let's see.
One of these two, maybe. So MLGW apparently does have ties to the city of Memphis and its mayor.
You didn't know that?
I did not know that.
Okay.
I thought it was an independent entity.
Nah.
I thought that they would more so be governed by TVA or something like that. So we got Doug McGowan, I think, named as CEO. No, he's over it now, right?
President.
He's
New president.
Okay. He was CEO.
Shout out to Doug McGowan.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
I liked him. I like him.
I rock with Doug. That's my guy.
He's a nice guy. Okay, so we know that Memphis has a hand in MLGW.
Yep.
Bro, how the hell am I going to stop paying $700 a month? What are you going to do about that? And listen, I am dead ass serious.
I know you are.
I am so mad. You see, behind you is a fireplace. It's fake. And I got to put fake heat. So I don't use this real heat. It's a nightmare.
Bro.
So what is the plan? First of all, I know it's a little premature. This election is a year from now.
Yeah.
But have you thought of a walking skeleton of a plan to do something other than rate hikes and just the easy way out?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult market, so I don't have a good answer for this one. When you start talking about power production and what it takes to produce power, the costs are continuing to go up. I do know that we need to be moving to a more renewable mix. And when I start talking about renewable, that means solar energy, wind energy, geothermal energy, and making it easier for people to be able to do it at their home. So if you want to put solar panels on your house, you can actually put those solar panels up and you can actually use that power to offset your bill. We want to make that a lot easier. But in terms of how we actually reduce it for now, we're at the mercy of the commodities market. Like, how much are we paying for natural gas? I mean, those are the things that are driving it. And it's such a broader issue that I don't know that there's an immediate short-term fix, but I'm willing to work with MLGW and TVA and all of the smart people to figure out a path, because
there's got to be something, right?
It's hurting our people. The other thing that we can think about is how can we consume less energy. So your home may be inefficient. It may be that what you need is to figure out how to reduce the energy consumption. So are there ways that we can have programs where we can add more, insulation in your attic, or weather stripping windows and doors, changing out HVAC systems, doing the things that make your house more energy efficient so that you spend less because your home is not losing air. It's not losing heat in the wintertime, and it's not losing cool air in the summertime. Like, those are the things that we can do immediately to address it. That's outside of the broader macroeconomic issues.
I got a friend, his Garrett. You need to talk to him. He needs to help with this. Yeah,
I know that guy.
Yeah, he's robbing us blind. All right.
It's his fault.
It's all on him. All right. Okay. I like first of all, I like the transparency there. I mean, again, we're a year out. Yeah. And, not everything has been thought about, right? But I mean, I'm very glad that you're aware.
No, I'm definitely, I live in Memphis.
You live in Memphis,
here.
Right? Yeah. So,
I pay bills too. I know.
Hey, look, over under, I've been gambling a lot. Over under 2.5 times in the last 6 months. How many times have you said, damn?
I don't know how to rate it in over and under terms, but it's been a lot. So.
More than 3? Or
More than 3. More than 3.
Right.
More than 3.
All right. So you know it's a problem.
I do.
And you want to alleviate it for yourself, just like for us. I appreciate that. However I can be of service.
Right.
Please let me know.
Right.
I'll go major when the stripping. All right, listen. Last thing. Because I hope you'll come back. And I don't want to question dump everything.
Right.
So I'll ask this last one and we'll get you out of here because I know you got something to do. So listen. The sports complex.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what you were anticipating.
No, it was not.
Oh, really?
No, I wasn't.
Oh,
I thought you were going somewhere else.
I need to go read some more. So maybe next show, hopefully. Okay, so
I thought you was getting more political, but it's cool.
What are your thoughts on the proposed multi-million-dollar soccer stadium being built in Liberty Park, especially with it being Memphis? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I mean, do you think it's a wise use of tax dollars or
to build a sports stadium?
No, to build this sports stadium, the soccer complex.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think that there's something about sports that brings people together, and I know that there are some in our community that don't watch soccer or still hadn't gotten the bug on soccer, but it is one of the sports of the future. We see that it's huge overseas. We know it's growing in the United States. There are more young people playing soccer than ever. And if it can be a place that can have, multiple uses, so we can use it as a soccer stadium for our 901 FC. We can host, the big soccer game from our high schools. We can, use it for different activities and events. I see no problem with having a soccer stadium, especially if it's funded by the users, meaning that, there's some type of seat tax or something that's going to be used to actually pay for it. That means that the project is paying for itself. So, yeah, I support it. I mean, I know there are questions about its location and, should it be where the Coliseum is? I think those things have to be figured out, but
I think the fact that it's soccer too, I think it's fair. Now you did a great job explaining why, it's a good, a good investment for the future.
But we have to think about, like, we are planning for the future. We're planning, exactly. We're investing for the next 20 years. I always give people the example of the Memphis Grizzlies. When the Memphis Grizzlies were coming to Memphis, there were folks with signs in their yard that said, say no.
Yep.
Say no to the Grizz.
Now they're season ticket holders.
They're season ticket holders. Now imagine us not having this international superstar player in Ja Morant living and repping Memphis every time, he's on SportsCenter. There are things where you're going to have these civic debates, and sometimes we'll end up executing and sometimes we'll hold off. But everything we do is a risk. It just needs to be a calculated risk. It needs to be a risk that, we mitigate all of the risks to the extent that we can. So, make sure that our taxpayers aren't on the hook and that we're not paying for that 901 FC doesn't leave us holding the bag with a soccer stadium that we're never going to use. Those are real legitimate questions, but I don't think it's not worth moving forward. I think we need to answer those questions and make sure that we've mitigated it.
He's Paul Young. And he came in studio. I'm so excited.
Yes, sir.
Hey, listen, do you think you'll come back?
Oh, man, I'm definitely.
We got more questions for you, and we're going to save them. Look, you are going to go give out some turkeys or something, right?
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Okay, and car just pulled up. I'm about to get out of here with my wretched ass friends. Let's go!
Let's go.